make a very bold change, in fact, to the entire U.S. tax system, and that would be to scrap it. Indiana Congressman, Republican Mike Pence joins me now. He is also the former Republican conference chair. Congressman, good morning. Good to have you with us today.
Morning, Martha.
You know, you and I were just speaking in the break as we said hello, and you said you just spoke with John Boehner and Eric Cantor. What did they say? What are they walking into that room with? What are they willing to negotiate?
Well, look, I think that Republican leaders, including our Speaker-elect, are grateful for the opportunity to sit down with the President of the United States, but I think they're in no mood to compromise on higher taxes for any American. Republicans have been very, very clear. We believe the last thing we should do in the worst economy in 25 years is raise taxes on anybody, and Republicans, I think, are going to deliver a respectful message in the Roosevelt Room today that we ought to have a fair up or down vote on the floor of the House of Representatives to preserve all the current tax rates that are on the books and make sure that no American sees a tax increase in January, not one.
Yeah, but if that happens before January, they're going to lose that vote most likely. I mean, this is something that needs to be dealt with ASAP before that new Congress comes in. So, you know, there may be something that Republicans are going to have to give on if people are going to get some relief here.
Well, let me say, you know, Senator Jim DeMint and I have authored legislation to make all the tax cuts permanent, and I think that's what we ought to do. But I might take a gentle issue with your assertion that we would lose a vote on extending all the current tax rates. I think the last time I checked, about 40 Democrats before the election had come out in favor of extending all the current tax rates for some period of time. And, you know, while we're hearing rumors that Democrats in this increasingly lame duck session are going to allow some individual vote this week on raising taxes on Americans over a certain income level. Well, I think if you had a fair up or down vote on extending all the current tax rates, I think it would pass in the House, might pass in the Senate, and the President would sign it. We'd protect Americans from higher taxes.
I hear you. And you know already that Democrats are going to try to define Republicans in this way if that happens. They're going to say, you know, oh, they're willing to, you know, allow the rich to not, you know, sort of bear a little bit more of the burden in these tough times, that they're defending the wealthy, and that's long been the line about Republicans.
Yeah, and it has long been the line, as you said, Martha, and I think it's a pretty tired line. I think the American people with unemployment about 9.6% for the longest period of time, I think 18 months, over 9%, longest time since the Great Depression. The American people are going, you know, enough of the class warfare rhetoric, enough of politics as usual in Washington, D.C. We know that raising taxes on job creators won't create jobs, so stop with the rich-poor rhetoric and let's pursue policies. As I said at the Detroit Economic Club yesterday, let's pursue broad policies that will really get this economy growing again.
And one of the things that you touched on, I got to be quick because we got some breaking news to get to here in a moment. You want to go for a flat tax. We've heard that before. We heard it from Steve Forbes. You may be a presidential candidate. I know you're going to talk about that at home with your family over the holidays. How would you expect to be the person who finally gets a flat tax?
Well, look, I think the American people know that this progressive tax system that we have today is stifling growth, stifling investment, and really and frustrating the American economy. And yesterday, what I said is at a time when the American people have said, yes, put our fiscal house in order, yes, let's engage in fiscal discipline, and we ought to do that. We also ought to embrace some big new ideas to really get the economy moving again. And I think a flat tax where businesses and individuals would pay the same rate after a generous allowance is an idea whose time has come.
All right, we will see if that idea is one whose time has come. Congressman Pence, always good to see you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark.
We've got some very dangerous